Mr. Chair, I think we're good. If you could rewind and give a brief synopsis of what you just said, that would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, thank you. I'm going through the procedural outline of what happens today. There will be an introduction of the appeal into the hearing. The board will hear from all participants, those in opposition and those in favor. The opportunity is provided to everybody today to provide all verbal and written information. The board will be making its decision on all the evidence that's provided to it today in this hearing. There'll be no reference to any information that may have been presented earlier or outside of this hearing. This is important because the Municipal Government Board confirms, revokes, or varies or substitutes any information in the Development Authority's decision, and that's what we're going to do today. I ask that you please state your name and you get very close to the microphone when you speak because this session is being recorded. All comments must be directed through the chair, that's myself. The board, those that are attending here today, can ask questions at any time for clarification and confirmation. And I ask that all the participants to keep comments brief and only to the subject at hand. Any participants are not permitted to debate directly with each other or make comments about or to them during this hearing. The municipal representative, the applicant, affected parties, and the appellant will all have opportunities to have closing arguments, which means you can speak to any information that's been presented prior at the end of the session. And the chair, myself, will be able to limit repetitive, irrelevant, or information that's not pertinent or relevant to what we're hearing today. And that's what's going to happen today. So with that, I'm going to ask the clerk to read the appeal into the hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The board members for this afternoon are our chairman, Mr. Brad Robson, and board members Benita Estes, Don Larson, Matt Fox, and Brad Myers, and myself, Gertie Stanley, the Subdivision and Development Appeal Board Clerk. Does anyone have any objections to the board members this afternoon? In hearing none, I turn it back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So at this time, I'm going to ask that the development officer presents the information for this hearing. And if you're now ready and tuned up and ready to go, I turn it over to you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. The appeal before you today is against a development officer's decision for refusal on permit 26D025. The application is requesting consideration for kennel private. This application was submitted as a result of enforcement. The subject 3.21 acre country residential property is located adjacent to and west of 10th Street East, 200 meters north of 274th Avenue East, and 375 meters west of Highway 2. The land use bylaw states that any lot containing a dwelling can keep up to 3 dogs at any one time. The application was submitted requesting 5 dogs on the subject parcel. This requires approval as a kennel private, as defined in the land use bylaw, meaning keeping of 4 or more adult dogs on a property that are owned by the resident of the dwelling located on the same property. This file began with our compliance officer as an issue of enforcement. The initial finding was that the property was being used for a private dog park through an online booking service. This was resolved with the compliance officer and activity stopped. The second aspect of the complaint was the property being used for rescuing dogs from foreign countries. The application proposes 3 dogs owned by the applicant, 1 medium-sized mixed breed 8-year-old male, 1 large 9-year-old golden retriever, 1 small 2-year-old cocker spaniel. The 4th dog was identified as the applicant's son's dog, a 4-year-old Labrador, and the 5th spot was for rescue dogs that had been legally transported from China by compassionate rescuers. The applicant stated, I help settle them in temporarily until they find adoptive families. The site plan depicts the shop. The dogs reside within this structure. The blue shaded area is the fenced outdoor area for the dogs. Given the history of the file and section 10.13.8, this application was refused. This concludes my presentation. Thank you, Mr. Chair and Board.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board for Ms. Kotler? Seeing none, I will ask that we hear from the applicant. And there's a button on the platform. Yeah, so once that's read, and please speak directly to the microphone.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and board members. My name is Hong Chui. Before I begin, I would like to apologize for my appearance and my speech. I am currently recovering from an illness, which makes it difficult for me to speak clear maybe today. Because of this, and because the English is my second language, my family member, Meng Wei, her English name is Serena, will be assisting me with translation and communications. And after then, I place to asking for let her read the rest of my statement. Thanks for your patience. Thank you.
You're welcome, and proceed.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Meng Wei, and Cui Hong is my mom. So today I'm gonna speak her presentation on behalf of her. Regarding my appeal for Field 2060-025, I want to address the previous reasons for refusal with the following important factors. Firstly, about the legal ownership. I'm now the only legal owner of all four dogs. We have submitted the updated veterinary records and ownership transfer documents to approve that all pets are permanent personal pets of our household. Secondly, cessation of rescue work. I have completely stopped all dog rescue and fostering activities. My life has changed with the arrival of my grandchildren, and I have no longer have the capacity or intent to rescue animals or pets. Those four dogs are strictly our family pets. Thirdly, responsible management. As shown in the photos we provided to you, we have secure fencing across our 3.21 acres property, including a 3,000 square feet chain link area. Our dogs are well trained, quiet, and spend most of their time with me in my art studio under constant supervision. Finally, neighborhood support. I have maintained open communication with my immediate neighbors. I'm pleased to share that the neighbor most affected by the proximity of the dogs has provided a formal letter of support, confirming that our dogs do not create noise or disturbance. Furthermore, my other direct neighbor has also expressed no objection to my application. Their feedback demonstrates that our dogs are well managed and that our home remains a quiet and respectful part of the community. We respectfully ask the board to approve the private kennel permit. We are happy to answer any questions the board or the county may have. And lastly, we want to kind of emphasize that the purpose of this application for the private kennel is only for private and personal purpose, not for commercial purpose. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. To the board, are there any questions you want to ask? Any clarification? I have two. I want to confirm the number of dogs presently. It's 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And the other question I had was, they are and will be housed in this kennel, not in the primary residence?
Can I just translate?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah，他说就是这4个狗都是在那个shop 里，还是说在家里？都在上。Yeah, out of the 4 dogs will now and in the future will be all in the shop. The dog area. Yeah, dog area. The separate shop, as you can see on the photo, it's on the separate shop place.
Okay, thank you. That's all the questions that I had.
Thank you.
Board members, any further questions? Okay, then hearing none, I will move to anybody that is in appealing or opposing the application. Is there anybody online that would like to speak in opposition or appeal?
Hi, I'm Brenda Taylor. I live in the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. If you could turn your volume up or get a little closer to your microphone, we're having a bit of difficult time hearing you here.
Is that better?
Yes, thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Taylor. You have the floor.
I just received the application in the mail. I didn't see it till the weekend, so I wasn't clear on the details of this kennel operation. And I was under the understanding they're trying to open a kennel where they would be bringing in other people's dogs to care for them. And I guess I understand now that is not the case, that this family just wants to have 4 family dogs living in their shop. Is that correct?
As at the moment, that's the information that's been presented. Are you speaking out in opposition or you're asking a clarification question?
Well, I would oppose them being able to run a business where they were bringing in other people's dogs, like coming and going at all times, but I'm not opposed to them having 4 dogs of their own. I'm opposed to it being set up as a business.
Okay, Ms. Taylor, is there anything further you'd like to add or say at the moment?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the board members to Ms. Taylor? All right, thank you. So from that, I'd like to move to the well, that was very short and sweet. So let's just move to closing comments and I'll turn it over to Ms. Kotler for any further closing comments or recommendations.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to state that all development permits are issued for the property and remain with the property. They're not issued to people, and a permit remains with the property regardless of ownership of the property. And I have nothing further than that.
Thank you. Any questions of clarification from the board? Hearing none, I'll move to the, there doesn't appear to be anybody who's in opposition or appealing this this matter. Is that correct? Ms. Taylor, you have nothing further you'd like to add?
Well, I have more questions now about that. So in future, if they sell their
Ms. Taylor,
property,
I'm sorry, this isn't the opportunity to ask for questions or clarification. That was done earlier. So if you have any comments you'd like to make without introducing or bringing forward any new information, I encourage you to do that at this time. Ms. Taylor, I'm taking your silence as you're finished.
yes, I
Oh.
am.
Thank you. With that, then I will leave the final closing comments to the applicants. So feel free to say anything else you'd like to clarify any information you've heard, perhaps the intention of what you are doing with your 4 dogs.
Okay, probably we'll just do a brief closing, and we will like keep all the 4 dogs in the shop, as you can see in the picture, and they will securely fenced no matter both daytime or nighttime. At nighttime, they will sleep indoor, the shop. At the daytime, they will play on the fenced area. And also just kind of emphasize that all of the 4 dogs are under my mom's ownership. And recently we transfer my husband dog under my mom's name. So it's kind of aligned with the actual situation and the paperwork. So that's one of the concern previously. So now kind of we fixed the problem and aligned, try to everything in compliance now. So.
Thank you. Is there any questions at all from the board members? I have one more. For clarification, is it important that you apply for a permit for a kennel, or would you be willing to, or is it possible to not have an application for a kennel and you just maintain 4 dogs on your property?
Sorry, just one second. 他说我们一定要申请这个。哎，对，这块儿。
Well, I'm getting a lot of feedback from everybody that that's not the question to ask. So let's just leave it there then.
Yeah.
And with that, I will state that there is no further questions from the board. I appreciate the input from my colleagues and the development officer and the electric shock I got through the chair. And with that, I will close the hearing, and the decision will be made today. And within 15 days, at most, will be a written document that will be provided to you, and that will be the decision of the board today. So we will close the hearing, we will have a discussion, and then we will make our decision at that time, and we will send that to you. And with that, I will close the hearing, and thank you all for your time. Thank you and welcome this afternoon. What I would like to do is go through a bit of a brief about what the procedural outline is for today for those that are currently here and those that are online as well too. After I describe the outline and the process for today, I will have the clerk introduce the appeal into the hearing. Then the board will hear presentations in the following order: the municipal representative, the applicant, and appellants, and anyone acting on behalf of either, and then anyone supporting the appeal or anybody opposing the appeal. This next point is rather important. The opportunities to submit oral and written evidence today is available to everyone. The board will only consider evidence presented today during this hearing, whether oral or written. The board is not considering and cannot consider any information that may be presented outside of this room or previously. All information that's presented today to this board is what we will make our decision on. It's important because this board has the capacity to either confirm, vary, revoke, or substitute any of the conditions in the Development Authority's decision. So again, I have to reiterate, for those that are online as well too, any information that you would like to present needs to be in this hearing today. For those that are in the room, I ask that you state your name and speak about this close to the microphone when you are speaking. For those that are online, I ask that you be patient with us until we do our sound check with you when it's your turn to speak, that we can hear you clearly. And also please state your name before speaking. All comments are through the chair, which is myself. The board at any time can ask questions for clarification. The participants are asked to keep comments brief and to the subject. Any participant is not permitted to debate, speak directly to or against another person, and we are a respectful hearing today. The municipal representative, applicant, affected parties, and the appellant will have the opportunity to make closing arguments. The one point to remember is in the closing arguments, there will be questions. We may ask you questions at the conclusion of that. We will not be introducing any new evidence through those closing arguments. With that, I will ask the clerk to read the hearing or read the appeal into the hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First off, I'll introduce our board members for this afternoon. Our chairman, Mr. Brad Robson, and board members Benita Estes, Don Larson, Matt Fox, and Brad Myers, and myself, Garrity Stanley, the Subdivision and Development Appeal Board Clerk. Does anyone have any objections to the board members this afternoon? And hearing none or seeing none, I will introduce the hearing. This appeal is against the refusal of Development Permit 26D025. This appeal is against the approval of Development Permit 26D077 for a bed and breakfast, 4 rooms on portion south 082204 west of the 5th Meridian. The appellants are Keith Larden and Eric and Joanne Hartman, and the grounds for their appeal were submitted to and reviewed by the board prior to the hearing. Please note this appeal hearing is being live streamed and will be available for viewing on the county's website upon completion of the hearing. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And with that, I will turn to the municipal representative, Ms. Smith, to present your Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the board. The appeal before the board today was submitted by area landowners against the approval issued by the development officer for development permit 26D077, allowing for a proposed 4-room bed and breakfast within the existing primary dwelling. The subject property is a 59.51 acre agricultural district parcel that is located northeast of Pine Ridge Road West, approximately 360 meters west of Highway 762 and 1.6 kilometers east of the municipal boundary of Foothills County and Kananaskis Municipality. The application requests to utilize 4 bedrooms within the existing primary dwelling for use as a year-round bed and breakfast operated by Lisa Neal and her spouse, who reside within the primary dwelling and remain on site during guest stays. 2 additional caretakers of the property reside in a separate dwelling unit, which has approvals under a site-specific amendment and previous development permit 07D 259. Guest occupancy is noted to be a maximum of 8 guests at one time for maximum stay of 14 days, with vehicle generation identified to average fewer than 4 guest vehicles coming and going per day. Guest check-in is between 3 and 7 p.m. with checkout by 11 a.m. The proposal does not consider the addition of any new buildings or structures to support the bed and breakfast. This is the provided site plan from the applicant showing all structures on the property and property boundaries. And here's a color-coded site map, which I will provide more detail in the next slide. Existing development on the property includes the primary dwelling containing the 4-room bed and breakfast, a second dwelling or caretaker residence approved through site-specific amendment and development permit 07D 259, 2 garages, an art studio utilized by the landowner or resident on the land for studio space and storage, an equipment shed, a barn, a chicken coop or animal shelter, as well as an oversized private arena with attached barn, approved through site-specific amendment and development permit 23D 063. I did not access this area of the property during my inspection, so I do not have a photo of the existing private arena and attached barn. The definition of bed and breakfast under section 2.5 of the county's land use bylaw states, bed and breakfast means the secondary use of a principal dwelling unit where the owner or operator of the dwelling provide temporary lodging or sleeping accommodation with a maximum of 14 days stay of no more than 4 guest rooms, and the guests may be provided with meals. This use shall be subordinate to the principal use of the dwelling as a residence, and the accommodations shall be hosted where the dwelling owner or operator are on site during the majority of the visitor's stay. Under section 10.4, bed and breakfast shall comply with the following. They shall be operated by a live-in owner as a secondary use only in the existing dwelling only, with a maximum of 4 commercial accommodation units in each development, and shall not change the residential character and external appearance of the dwelling involved. No food preparation or cooking for guests shall be conducted within any bedroom available for rent. All facilities shall meet public health regulations and be kept in a manner satisfactory to Health Regulation Authority. No accommodation unit or bedroom shall include a kitchen. Maximum stay of 14 days per person is permitted, and a sign is permitted no larger than 0.55 square meters or 5.92 square feet at the entry of the property. Bed and breakfast shall meet the minimum requirements of the applicable building code. The provided application met all required provisions under the land use bylaw for a bed and breakfast. Bed and breakfast is a discretionary use within the agricultural district of the county's land use bylaw. This concludes my presentation, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Board members, are there any questions for Ms. Smith? Mr. Myers?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Question to the development officer through the chair. The definition states that this can be operated by an owner/operator, but the land use bylaw states that a bed and breakfast shall be operated by a live-in owner. Is that correct?
Through the chair, the intention of the bylaw is that it allows for an owner or operator of the business, as long as they live in and reside on the property within the primary dwelling in which the bed and breakfast is operating.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions or comments for clarification, board members? Hearing none, we will now move to the applicant, and we will hear from you.
If I may, Mr. Chair, the applicant is online.
Oh, thank you. That would be Mr. Osman and Ms. Neal.
That's correct.
Thank you. Mr. Osman or Ms. Neal, do either of you want to, which one of whom will take the lead on the first part of the presentation, or will both of you be presenting?
Both of us will be presenting.
I'm sorry,
Go ahead,
both
Lisa.
spoke at the same time.
It's okay. We'll both be presenting today.
May I ask who will speak first, please?
I can speak first.
All right, Ms. Neal, if you can start, and again, can you identify yourself?
My name is Lisa Neal, and thank you to the board today for your time. I am an applicant and managing partner of the approved bed and breakfast operation associated with development permit 26D077. My husband, Ron, and I
to
are...
interrupt you at the moment. It's very difficult to hear what you're saying. Is it possible that you can be a little closer to the microphone?
Sure. Can you let me know if that's better?
It is. Thank you.
My husband, Ron, and I are permanent full-time residents of the property and have resided within the main residence since August of 2025. I would just like to take some time to briefly address several statements contained within the appeal materials and the submission letters in order to clarify some certain inaccuracies and provide some context regarding the actual scale and nature of the approved use. First, the approval before the board is specifically for a small-scale 4-room bed and breakfast operating within the existing residence. It will have a maximum occupancy of 8 guests. This is not a hotel, lodge, event center, campground, nor a large-scale commercial tourism operation. All approved guest rooms are located within the main residence where Ron and I permanently reside. We are not employees. We are not caretakers hired to operate the property remotely. I am the applicant and the managing partner of approved bed and breakfast, and the property is actively managed on site on a full-time basis. The residence itself was originally designed and constructed long before our ownership to accommodate large residential occupancies, entertaining, visiting family, guests, in many respects, normal family gatherings, holidays, contractors, recreational visitors could easily generate equal or greater traffic than limited use proposed under this approval. As a good example, if only Mr. Osman's immediate family were visiting the property, the number of vehicles and visitors present could easily extend the most modest guest occupancy associated with this bed and breakfast use. The approved occupancy remains modest and controlled. In addition, there were raised concerns regarding traffic and tourism activity. They should be considered within the broader context of the surrounding area, which already accommodates a variety of residential, agricultural, recreational, and tourism-related traffic uses. On one of the submission letters, references concerning regarding roadway traffic and visitor activity However, that residence in particular itself is located in exact same proximity to an existing regional tourism horseback riding and ranch stay that generates substantial greater traffic volumes than our limited 4-bed and breakfast approval before the board today. Concerns regarding our septic capacity and infrastructure also do not accurately reflect the approved scale of the operation. The septic services serving this residence were approved for occupancy levels significantly greater than the limited proposed under this approval. In addition, our caretaker residence operates on its own septic system. I would also like to address several safety-related concerns contained within the submission. The resident's substantial heavy timber and log construction home incorporating extensive stone and concrete materials. The property includes sprinkler systems drawing water from our outside on-site ponds. We do not permit gas wood-burning fires anywhere on the property, nor do we personally utilize outdoor wood-burning properties on our property. The outdoor fire feature located on our site is controlled natural gas fireplace, and natural gas fires produce lower particulate emissions and airborne smoke compared to any traditional wood-burning fire. The home itself contains limited carpeting, extensive non-combustible stone and concrete surfaces. Heavy timber and log construction have widely been studied for its ability to charge slowly and maintain structural integrity during a fire event, compared to many modern lightweight construction materials. I would also like to note that I do understand the concerns relating to our large unfamiliar dogs, as the appellant's large dogs have repeatedly come onto my property and has startled me personally multiple times. This is one of the reasons we maintain careful controls regarding guest animals on property. We also would not be permitting guest dogs within our residence due to our own small dog and our rest of our animals included on our property. In addition, we would not be allowing children under the age of 12 to stay as our guests. We believe this policy contributes to safer and responsible operation. With respects to concerns regarding the neighborhood noise and roadway safety, I would respectfully note that there are unlicensed ATVs and quads using our local roads that contribute significantly to roadway noise and traffic activity.
Ms. Neal?
Yes?
I've provided you enough latitude throughout your application conversation at the moment I want to remind you and encourage you to stick to your comments specifically to your application and refrain from commenting on others, please.
Okay, sorry about that. I apologize. I would also like to clarify that the RV located on the property is privately owned by my husband and myself, and we use it personally for camping and travel purposes. It was recently returned from Vancouver Island and currently be clean and getting ready for the summer season. The riding arena referenced within the submission materials is a private arena that has already undergone county review and approval process and is not part of the application before this board today. Ultimately, we respectively believe the approved represents a modest residential scale bed and breakfast that appropriate for property compatible with the surrounding area and capable of being responsibly managed with minimal impact. I really trust that this brings clarity and context and helps address some of the misunderstandings and concerns set forward by the appellants. We respectfully request that the board uphold our development permit 2060-077. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Neal. Mr. Osmond, do you have any comments to make? Mr. Osmond?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. This is the third time that we've been in front of the appeal board discussing any permits required for my building. This is, I'm going to make this short and sweet. It's a targeted harassment by the same individuals using false information. We cooperate with the county. Anything that we do at all times, we are in communication with the county. We are compliant in everything that we have met all the requirements, and I just believe that there's a prejudice with certain neighbors. I won't get into specifics, but this appeal isn't because we're doing anything wrong or our facility doesn't meet any requirements. And that's my submission today. I'm not going to get into much further than that.
Thank you. Board members, are there any questions for Ms. Neal or Mr. Osmond?
Thank you to the chair. Yes, I have a few questions for Mrs. Neal. The caretaker residence, who resides there currently?
Hello?
Yes. Did you hear my question?
Yes, I'm sorry, I just unmuted. We do have two caretakers that are going to be residing there as the 1st of June. A Jordan Underhill and a Quinton, actually both ironically members of the Red Meadows Fire Department. They are our new caretakers and we're looking forward to having them on the 1st of June.
Thank you. Second question. It's my understanding that you're the one that's going to be operating the bed and breakfast.
Yes, that's correct.
So could you clarify for me, when you mentioned that you have a travel trailer that you're getting ready to travel this summer, who would be picking up, looking after the bed and breakfast if you're not there? Thank you.
Well, if I have guests, I won't be able to use my travel trailer. When I don't have guests, I will be taking advantage of it. That's what I did on Vancouver Island. I used my trailer when I wasn't busy.
Any other board members with any questions? Go ahead, Mr. Myers.
Thank you. A question to Ms. Neal through the chair. Can you tell me how many bedrooms are actually in the primary residence?
There's 5 main bedrooms in the residence.
Okay, and one more question. During your talk here, you referred a couple of times as sort of that you were part of the ownership of this. Is that
Of the
correct?
business. I'm the owner. I'm part ownership of the bed and breakfast, not of the property.
Oh, I see, of the business, but not the property. Is that
I
correct?
live at the property. I reside at the property.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. Anything further? Any other board members? Oh, go right ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair for Ms. Neal. I'm looking at part of the submission, I believe it's from you, that sets out the, looks like a floor plan for various rooms within the main building there, located in our submissions at page 40, 41, and 42. And I don't know if you have reference to those materials, if they're there in front of you, but I want to clarify how large this structure is, the main residence. And just to confirm whether these diagrams of these rooms are all contained within that structure, and how many rooms exactly there are within the structure itself. There's sort of a number of questions there. Perhaps you could just walk me through that.
The main structure itself is approximately 11,000 square feet.
11,000 square feet, sorry?
11,000 square feet?
For the main?
Yes.
Yep.
And there are 5 bedrooms, 4 of them rentable bedrooms, as well as a couple of offices and a kitchen and great room. And,
all right. And within that, there's Eagle's Nest.
Yes.
And Elk Hideout and Moose Crossing. Those are names given to 3 of these bedrooms. Is that correct?
Yes, but the Elk Hideout contains 2 bedrooms. It contains 2 bedrooms. However, it would be rented as one unit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just making some notes here. Now, what's your room? Where's your area within the main structure that you actually occupy?
I'm I'm above the kitchen at the front of the house, away from the. I mirror the eagle's nest.
Okay. And what's the square footage of the area that you reside in? Just offhand, just roughly.
800 square
Sorry?
feet would be our bedroom. I'm just gonna double check, but I think about our bedroom would be approximately 800 square feet. Our bedroom would be the same square footage as listed on the eagle's nest.
Okay. And that's for your bed.
That's our bedroom, correct, and our washroom.
Okay. And the kitchen facilities?
Is directly under my bedroom. It's I'm not sure how many square feet. It's got to be at least 1,000 square feet, I would say.
For the kitchen.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Is this, just to your knowledge, is this structure always been used as a bed and breakfast, or was it?
No,
what
this
was it?
structure, to my knowledge, was bought by someone involved with the Stampede Board and did a lot of entertaining. I think the first person that built this also built the Azure Ridge, and he used it for entertainment. And the second owner, Mr. Don Taylor, did a lot of entertaining. I've heard stories with upwards of 300 people. And for us, we've never used it for anything. And once I arrived here in my retirement, I thought it might be a neat idea to have a little bed and breakfast in my retirement. And that's how this began. But this structure, until before this ownership, was used to entertain quite a bit. Yes.
Just to clarify the point, Board Member Myers has asked the question about ownership. Who owns the land and the buildings?
Sam Osman owns the land and the buildings.
Is Mr. Osman in attendance today, or is he intending on giving any evidence here today?
I am.
Okay. So that's, sorry, I'm trying to sort through who's in attendance and who isn't. So Mr. Osman, you're listening in on it, are you?
Yes, I am.
You've made your submission, I think, was that earlier? It's a little hard to hear sometimes.
It was very brief. Yes.
Okay, got it. Do you, question to Mr. Osman, again through the chair. Have you resided on this property at any time?
Of course.
And you currently
Yes, I
reside
have.
there?
Pardon me?
You currently reside there?
This is my weekend home. So I bought it for retirement. At some point, I will live there permanently. But my time there is on weekends, holidays. So I do reside there, but not full time.
Okay. Thank you. I think that's all the questions I have, Mr. Chairman. Thanks.
Any other board members with questions? I myself have 2. One is a clarification, I think, with you involved in the answer of this, Ms. Smith. Ms. Neal, I've heard you in your opening comments make a submission that you are the operating manager of the approved bed and breakfast. From what I understand from the package that we've been provided, the approval is contingent upon a a period of time for this appeal to occur as well, which in my opinion means that this is a conditionally approved. If not, it is not an approved application at this moment. Ms. Smith, perhaps you can answer that.
Certainly. Through the chair, this application has been conditionally approved by the Development Authority because an appeal has been submitted within the 21-day appeal period. No approval or signed development permit has been granted at this time. And the board today has the authority to make any decisions that they see fit on this application to either approve as has been submitted in the current approval, conditional approval. They may change any conditions of approval that have been made or may refuse the application or remove any conditions that they see fit.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Ms. Neal, are you in agreement that this is a conditionally approved and not an approved B&B at the moment?
Yes, I apologize. I understand that it's a conditional approval. I'm in complete agreement.
Thank you. My follow-up question to either of you is, can you explain and outline the kitchen configuration, meaning the appliances, the size, the capacity for cooking meals for those that would be utilizing the Airbnb?
Well, first I would say that there will be no meals supplied. At this point, that is not in the plans to supply any meals to the guests, and the guests will definitely not be using our kitchen. However, the kitchen has commercial ovens, warming ovens, large sub-zero appliances. This kitchen was built with the intention of entertaining, which it has been long before our ownership. However, for ourselves, our guests will not be using our kitchen, and I will not be cooking for our guests.
Okay, my follow-up to that would be, what is the expectation of those for 14 days availing themselves of the B&B to feed themselves?
Well, this is operating a little bit like I operated a B&B on Vancouver Island, and it's more of a place for people to lay their head. People have a clear understanding on my advertisement that they're not coming here with cooking facilities or to provided cooking. They're being provided a room, which my husband has stayed in many times. We've stayed in hotels that are just a room. I don't anticipate anyone staying 14 days. However, if they do, I guess they will have to figure out where they're going to eat. This would probably not be the most appropriate place for them to stay. This is more of a weekend stop by.
Ms. Newell, you can appreciate my confusion when the application is for a bed and breakfast and it is not being provided as such. I was just asking a question for clarification, and thank you. Board members, anything further? With that, I will move to the appellants. I do note that there are some online, and I do note that there have been some letters provided as well, which we'll address at a later time, towards the end of this hearing. But at the moment, I have a few appellants that wish to speak and some that I believe may be participating. For those of you that are online, I want to absolutely give you any opportunity you'd like to speak in opposition of this, to support the appeal. And you will do so by unmuting, and we will direct responses accordingly. So the sheet that I have in front of me, it begins with a Mr. Larden, and and he's present here today. So Mr. Larden, I'll give you the floor to speak first.
Excuse me, you'll have to excuse me. I'm not used to speaking in public, so.
Well, luckily you're just in the room.
But anyway, I'd like to first say good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the Appeal Board. And thank you for allowing me and others time to present our objections to the application in question. I would like to point out that lack of appellants is in no way indicates the approval of the majority of residents to this application. The residents in our neighborhood have appealed to this board on 2 previous occasions, as was noted by Mr. Osmond, opposing development applications by this same absentee landowner, both of which, despite an overwhelming majority of residents opposing with 20+ appellants each time, the board chose to approve, thus leaving a feeling of what does it matter to the other residents. I should also like to add that the previously approved developments remain only partially completed some 4 years later and have never been used for the purpose cited in the applications. The project sits as an uncompleted eyesore visible from the roadway in the neighborhood. But regarding the appeal at hand, I would first like to reference the Foothills County Land Use Bylaw definition of a bed and breakfast, which was already read out, but stressing on the fact that it says where the owner/operator of the dwelling provides temporary lodging or sleeping accommodations. The use shall be subordinate to the principal use of the dwelling as a residence, and the accommodation shall be hosted where the dwelling owner/operator are on site during the majority of the visitor's stay. I myself would interpret in the context of the Foothills Land Use Bylaw, the slash in the compound phrase owner/operator does not mean owner or operator. Instead, it creates a dual requirement implying that the owner must also be the operator. And I'd further reference the land use bylaw and agenda page 79, the 10.4.1 section of the bylaw, that a bed and breakfast shall be operated by a live-in owners as a secondary use only. What does the Foothills County Land Use Bylaw define as live-in owners? Unfortunately, there is not one listed, and neither could I find one exact in a dictionary definition, although Merriam-Webster does define owner-occupier, a person who owns the dwelling he or she lives in. Now, my first point relates to those statements, in that in the Development Authority's decision, conditions of appeal, or conditions of approval, sorry, the conditions of approval state the bed and breakfast facility shall be operated by the live-in owners. That's number 7. Number 8 says guest rooms shall not be rented out if the live-in owners are not present on the subject property for the duration of the stay. These conditions can't be met or complied with, as Sam Osmond is not a live-in owner. Mr. Osmond is and has always been an absentee landowner. Neither he nor his family reside on the property. Mr. Osmond resides, to my understanding, in or near the city of Edmonton, where his various business ventures are located, including Alberta Film Studios, the previous owner of record of this property. The applicant in the agenda, in her rebuttal, now refers to herself as the managing partner of a bed and breakfast operation. Is this an incorporated business that they're running here? A managing partner of an incorporated commercial business is completely different than the owner of the property, in my opinion. The applicant indicates her and her husband have been permanent full-time residents of the property since August of 2025. It is my understanding that the applicant and her husband were engaged specifically to operate an Airbnb on this property. At that time, with no regard for following proper licensing as required by the county. They are the third set of employees, caretakers, dare I say, managing partners, since Mr. Osmond purchased the property. So they may be permanent until the owner, Mr. Osmond, decides to dismiss them, as he did with the other previous owners and operators or other caretakers. The applicant indicates consent from the landowner in agenda page 56. Written landowner consent has been obtained from Sam Osmond and is included in this application. No such landowner consent is included in the agenda documents. I'm just wondering, is that document available to us? And if this document refers to the county letter of authorization, which I have a copy of here with me, states the letter specifically gives permission to act on the owner's behalf for the purpose of the development permit application, not to operate a business on the property. So again, I refer back to the land use bylaws that a bed and breakfast shall be operated by a live-in owner as a secondary use. This point alone should be enough to determine that this development permit should not have been approved or conditionally approved under the existing Foothills County land use bylaws. And if so, I'm not a lawyer. And to my understanding, the Foothills County does not employ a lawyer on staff. I would like to request that the county contracts a professional lawyer, at their expense, of course, to provide a statement of law in regards to the question, can an absentee landowner who does not reside on the property authorize a manager to live on the property to manage a bed and breakfast operation on said property with under the current Foothills County land use bylaws? And this independent legal opinion should be acquired before the board makes a decision to determine if the county has potentially made an error in law. My second point, if for whatever reason the county interprets or interpretation of the land use bylaw is that it is permissible for an absentee landowner to engage employees to operate said bed and breakfast, then I would submit this again does not adhere to the land use bylaw, that a bed and breakfast be operated as the secondary use only. What is the primary use of the property if it is not being used as a residence by the owner? To my definition, having a lodging facility operated by employees constitutes a hotel, a lodge, or at the very least, a tourist home as the primary use, as opposed to a live-in owner-operated bed and breakfast, secondary use only. The agriculture property in question is not zoned for a commercial operation. Now, regarding the employees, it is approved, in the approval description, it says 4 resident employees, manager and caretakers. The number of people and in the application on the agenda, page 55, the question is number of people to be employed. The operation shall be managed and operated by the on-site manager occupant, Lisa Neal, and the manager's spouse with assistance from 2 caretakers. Have these employees been properly vetted by the landowner, the absentee landowner? The employees and individuals currently residing on the property, Lisa, who I assume is the applicant, Ron, and other caretakers, as mentioned previously, are the 3rd set of employee caretakers since Mr. Osmond purchased the property. I personally do not know these people, or even by sight, and to my knowledge, Neither do any of the other nearby residents. They remain strangers in the neighborhood, even if they have.
Mr. Larden,
Yes.
I need to interrupt you. As I've said with Ms. Neal prior, I've given a tremendous amount of latitude in your comments. I would remind you to provide your comments and for the appeal specifically to the matter at hand and not speak about others or bring those issues forward. So can you please be a little bit more succinct and focused on why you've made the appeal against this application?
I'll address that later, but the fact is that they're bringing strangers into our neighborhood.
Mr. Larden, I may remind you again that this hearing is to hear evidence for your appeal against this application, and I would encourage you to continue on that line of commenting. So if you have something that you're going to say that you're saving for the end, now would be the appropriate time to bring that forward of why you're appealing this application, if you wouldn't mind.
Okay. I will get to that. And I'll move on to my third point, is that according to the Development Authority decision, page 1, agenda, page 48, under the approval of the description of use of 4 bedrooms within the main residence. And I know some of you have questioned this already, but the main dwelling has 7 bedrooms in it. I know Lisa said 5, but according to the advertisement, as of last evening, the advertisement on the Film Alberta studio website, Film Alberta, and it's registered under Film Alberta Retreat. And if my memory serves me correctly, the removal of this advertisement was a requirement of the stop order issued in 2021 that was never complied with, but is still there as of last night, that there are 7 bedrooms in this property that is advertised for rental on the Film Alberta studio website.
Mr. Larden, I'm going to be quite bullish about this point. I encourage you to provide us information to assist this board in making a decision on what to do with this application. I remind you, you're appealing the subject approval of this application, and I would encourage you to provide us relevant information that you have as fact and evidence of what you are basing your appeal on.
I'm part of my appeal is that although they are conditionally approved for 4 bedrooms, there are far more than that on the property.
Mr. Larden, we've noted, we will inquire, but I would also encourage you to be a little bit more succinct, a little bit more brief, and perhaps more factual in providing evidence that we would consider and need to consider in order to make the board's decision.
Okay, I guess in closing to that point is how would the county or how will they monitor how many of these bedrooms are being used? Is it going to be up, as everything else has been, is it going to be up to the residents to police that? And how will we be able to do it? But I'll move on to my next point. In regards to fire safety concerns, and some of my comments here have already been addressed in Lisa stating that there is a sprinkler system in the home. I wasn't aware of that. And the fact that it is supplied by the pond that's on the property. That's a concern for us. We live in a forested area, so fire is something we're concerned about. But those seem to have been covered. I just hope the fire inspector will make note that the occupancy load is for 10 people. 8 guests, 2 caretakers, 2 resident managers. That's 12 people. I'll move on to point 5. And the application indicates in her response about the septic system. Now, the septic system was previously approved for residential occupancy levels greater than the limited occupancy provided under the bed and breakfast approval. When was this approval given? Was it when Mr. Sped built the house?
Mr. Larden, I'm going to belabor this point one more time. And this will be the final warning I provide for you. I'm asking you to provide facts. I'm not asking you to ask questions. We need to hear from you on what basis and information and evidence and facts that you have that you're appealing this application. If you can't get to that point, then I must thank you for your time. So, Mr. Larden, can you please provide us any further closing comments on what your basis and evidence and facts are for appealing this application, please?
Okay, I'll move on to my next point, which
Mr. Larden, how many points do you have?
I have a total of 7 points, and I'm moving on to point 6.
What is the heading of that point, Mr. Larden?
That point falls to the safety of this operation.
What
and,
concerns do you
and
have
to the
specifically about
resident.
Mr. Larden, I'm helping you. We need to get through quite a few people, and we want to hear as much evidence as possible, not opinion, and nor do we respond to questions. We are hearing information. So would you please summarize your final statement of why you're appealing this application, please, sir?
I'm appealing it based on the fact that it is an it's the bylaws state that it be owner operated, which it is not. It's a live-in owner, which it is not. The other concern, as I was going to get to, is the safety of the residents in the neighborhood due to the additional traffic that will be caused by this bed and breakfast. The application or the approval stipulates vehicle generation maximum of 6 trips a day. You've got 4 people residing on the property. You've got 8 people that will be living on the property without meals being provided. They're going to have to make trips for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, plus sightseeing trips. That's going to far exceed 6 vehicle trips a day. And as a person myself who walks on that road every day and dodges speeding vehicles specifically from this property, it's a safety issue to me. And the other safety issue, again, I would go back to, they're bringing the people operating the property are strangers. They're bringing in other strangers. It falls to a danger to the people that reside in the neighborhood. And I'll make the final point that I'll make is that since this approval was given, the advisory requirement requires that all installations of lighting must adhere to guidelines and technical specifications as outlined within the dark sky bylaw. On April 26th, 4 days after this approval was granted, a floodlight was installed illuminating the entire entrance to the Osmond property, the roadway, the neighboring driveway, and the night sky 24/7. Clearly a contravention of the dark skies bylaw. And this goes to, in the past couple of days, the light is no longer on during the day. I don't know if it's on all night long, but it was previously. So that just gives a clear indication how the applicant and the owner disregard any conditions or advisories set out for this approval. Now I'll get to my final.
Mr. Larden, you said that was your final point.
That was my final point. Now I'm going to close, if I may.
Mr. Larden, you'll have an opportunity for closing comments if you'd like, but I would limit you and your time in front of us today, sir.
So I can go on or I cannot?
Please be very brief with your next statement.
Okay. This goes in regards to, since Mr. Osmond's company, Film Alberta Studio, purchased this property in late 2018, his or their interest has been to use it as a revenue property, not as a home or a residence, with zero regard to the neighborhood impact. From their consistent leasing of the property to film productions, to their unsuccessful attempt to construct an event center without acquiring proper permits, which resulted in a stop work order from the county in 2021. That project then turned into an as yet completed riding arena for his never-present collection of horses for his grandchildren to ride. Not to forget, Mr. Osmond and the appellant previously operated a non-licensed Airbnb on the property, not once, but twice, which
Mr. Lardon?
Fort Hills County shut down on both occasions.
Mr. Lardon, I'm going to ask you to discontinue at the moment.
Okay,
I've been very clear.
that was my last sentence.
Mr. Lardon, thank you very much.
That was my last
I was
sentence.
very
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lardon. So with that, are there any questions of Mr. Lardon from the board members? Seeing none, I'm going to move to the next person on the list of those that are supporting the appeal. I notice the name of Diuga. Is that individual available? Oh, ma'am, if you'd make your way to the microphone, please. And did I pronounce your last name correctly? Diuga. Thank you.
Hello again. Great to see you guys and thank you for your time.
Can I ask you to speak closer to the microphone and start all over again, please?
Sure.
Sorry, there's a red button you've just turned off on the.
It's on. Can you hear me now?
Thank you.
Sorry, it's first time for me to speak like this in public. Okay, yeah, my name is Zulfia. I want to thank you all for giving me time to speak. So good afternoon. My name is Zulfia. I'm speaking on behalf of myself and my husband, Kurt. We live on the property directly across the road from the applicant. Based on past activities, I have little confidence in this landowner's stated intentions. Examples that have contributed to this loss of trust include, but not limited to, the following. Beginning construction of a large structure without permit, as you heard it before. Holding filming activities with little or no notice to neighbors who were given no meaningful opportunity for input. Advertising rooms for rent on Airbnb without necessary approvals. Building a riding arena that was represented and permitted as being for personal use only. Yet, years later, there are still no horses and no facility has instead being used to support filming activities. There has been a proven history of using government regulatory and enforcement loopholes to make money. These examples undermined our trust in the statements made by the landowner's employee. A responsible landowner should understand the requirement and responsibilities that come with operating a business in a residential area. This absentee landowner pattern has been to proceed without proper approvals and then claim unfair treatment when neighbors object to profit-generating activities in our residential zone area. Some employees' behavior has become increasingly aggressive towards neighbors who object or try to monitor the extent of the current revenue generating activities. They seem to have uncritically accepted the claim that the landowner is an innocent victim of harassment by neighbors. I question whether the traffic will truly be limited to 6 trips a day. I question whether occupancy will, in fact, be limited to 4 rooms and a maximum of 8 guests. I question whether the water and septic system can handle the additional demand. I question whether fire safety requirements will be fully implemented and maintained. I question whether noise disturbance will be addressed promptly and effectively. I question whether vehicles associated with the property will comply with 40 kilometers per hour speed limit. I question my safety while I walk on the road and my dog. I question whether the steady flow of unfamiliar visitors will be safe and respectful. My understanding is that there have already been incidents involving trespassing and stalking on the applicant's property, and it seems likely that these issues are related to the large number of visitors that use the property. Because the county does not currently have any regulatory control over filming activities that occur in Foothills County or in our neighborhood specifically that occur on this property, the impact on neighboring residents is already significant. The impact of filming has been already overwhelming. For example, large trucks have suddenly appeared on our narrow road around blind corners. We all walk on these roads. There is no sidewalks. As many as 100 workers have attended the property over extended period of filming. More than 50 vehicles traveled past our property over the course of several days at varying and sometimes unsafe speeds. The sound of the trucks driving like we live by a major highway. The road has been deteriorating. Sam Osman is an absentee owner who appears to be looking for additional ways to generate revenue from his property. That raises legitimate concern about what might come next. Large events, weddings, workshops, or other commercial uses. Neighbors have little practical ability to monitor or enforce usage limits. Sam Osman is asking neighbors to trust him, that he will keep this property income generating use within a limit scale. However, the financial incentive to expand, together with the fact that he has hired a business manager to increase revenue, gives rise to understandable concern. These doubts and unanswered questions have caused me considerable stress. I do not trust this landowner's intentions, and the burden of trying to monitoring these issues is overwhelming. We bought our home in this residentially zoned neighborhood to enjoy peace, quiet, and the normal use of our property. For these reasons, I respectfully ask that this bed and breakfast application be denied. The property is already causing significant impacts to neighborhood residents and is eroding the quiet residential character of the area. I urge the county not to approve any further expansion of commercial activities on this site. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. That is all. I know it took a little bit more than 5 minutes, but yeah.
Thank you. Board members, any questions, comments? Mr. Myers?
Thank you. A question to the appellant through the chair. Can you tell me how long you've lived out there?
We lived since 2022.
Thank you.
We moved there, yeah. May 2022.
Thank you. Any further, Mr. Myers? Mr. Fox? Anyone else? Thank you for your time. I'll move to the next person to support the appeal. On my record, I have Mr. Lavillée.
He was there, Mr.
I
Chair.
see, I saw
He
that too.
Just disappeared, so I'm
So
not
let's-
sure if.
Let's
he-
just pause,
but-
Mr. Lovely, return back if and when he returns. I'll move on to Patrick Miles. And I don't see,
I do not have a Patrick Miles, no.
okay. And I don't see any other person online. If there is anybody else online that would like to speak in support of the appeal, make yourself known at this time.
I may have Mr. Lavelle. One moment, I'm letting him in.
Okay.
Just to double check, iPhone 16 is Mr. Lavelle.
All right. Mr.
Rick?
Lavelle, Lavier, or however you pronounce your last name, please correct me and introduce yourself and go ahead and speak in support of the appeal. It shows that you're unmuted on our side.
Hello?
Hello, we can hear you.
Okay, good. So anyways, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is
Sir,
Rick.
I need to ask that you identify yourself, please.
Yeah, my name is Rick LaValle, and I'm speaking on behalf of my wife, Sandra, and myself. We're in our 37th year in Pine Ridge Estates. So we've been here quite a while. And all of my concerns basically align with what has been said already. The lady that was just speaking, she's basically covered all my points, so I'll make this very short and sweet. The only other things I would add to the issues on hand, and I'm going to reiterate one more time, is what she said about the trust with this neighbor. I've never met the neighbor personally. I've never met this new person that has moved in there, the manager, personally. I have no idea who they are. My first introduction to these folks was with helicopters flying over my house every half hour to an hour for 2 days straight. And they were filming something or other. And people on the road with stop signs, stopping traffic, not letting people out of their driveways. And then it kind of went on from there. Every time I turn around, there's something else that I hear about that property and the permitting and the rest of the stuff that's been going on over the past few years. I believe that lady that just spoke hit everything that I had to say right on the head. A couple little things she didn't touch on is the ponds that have appeared there. I believe they're supposed to be permitted under Alberta Environment, which they're not, I'm going to assume. And that's the end of what I have to say, really.
Thank you. Board members, any questions of this gentleman? Yep, go ahead.
Thank you to the chair. Just one quick question. Whereabouts do you live in proximity to this property?
I'm 2 properties to the south.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Is there anybody in the gallery that would like to speak in support of the appeal? Hearing none, I will now move on to the closing statements, which I will start with the Ms. Smith, closing statement by the Municipal Development Officer.
Thank you. Through the chair, just a couple of points of clarification on my end. Through the land use bylaw, the bed and breakfast definition allows that food may be provided. It is not a requirement within our bed and breakfast. The business visit uses is strictly for when we count business visits is for individuals that are utilizing that area to come and go as one business visit. This does not include employees or residents of the site. Another clarification I'd like to make is that a comment was made that the occupancy within the primary dwelling would exceed 10. The 2 caregivers on site, is my understanding, they live in the caretaker residence, which is separate from where the bed and breakfast is being located. The occupancy would be reviewed by our municipal fire through an inspection as part of an approval of this application, as well as the septic information. There is a condition that has been added that the landowner work with our Building and Safety Codes Department to ensure that the appropriate septic and servicing is required for this application. I believe that is everything that I have at this time that is relevant to the bed and breakfast.
Thank you. I do have a clarifying question.
Sure.
In the land use bylaw that's been presented in your when you presented, I'll start over. In your presentation, you discussed the land use bylaw definition of bed and breakfast, and in the handout or the pre-reads we've been given, it also defines in the land use bylaw very specifically of what the definition of a bed and breakfast is. And I want to clarify that we are all hearing and understanding the terminology. So under the land use bylaw, the bed and breakfast means the secondary use of a principal dwelling unit. And would you clarify for me what a secondary use of a principal dwelling unit is?
Yes, so the principal dwelling unit would be the primary dwelling on the property. Any use of that building, which it would be the bed and breakfast, would be a secondary use of that, as long as there is a principal owner of the business that is on site during that time.
Thank you. Board members, any further clarifying questions? Thank you, Ms. Smith. Closing comments by any of the appellants, and we'll start with you, Mr. Larden.
Yes. Am I allowed to ask questions of what the statement that was just made by this young lady? Can't remember. Her name escapes me at this time.
No, you cannot. We are not here to, we're here to hear evidence. We, as the board, can ask clarifying questions. You, sir, are not permitted to. You can provide a closing comment on the reason for your support of appealing this application, and that's where I will limit you to.
Okay. The reason, I guess, as a closing comment, the reason I invested my time to come here, to drive the hour to get here and invest the $100 in gas it's going to cost me to get here and back, was to try and let people know what the disturbance this absentee landowner has made to our community over the last 6 or 7 years that he's owned the property and has never resided on it. He does not, people need to realize the impact that he has on our neighborhood when he is not there to see that impact or realize that impact. He has been, for want of a better word, terrorizing our neighborhood since 2018. And
Mr. Larden, I'm forced to terminate your closing comment, which is the first for me ever. I find my opening comments were that we were to be respectful, we were to be amenable, and we were to speak about facts and evidence, not to or about people. Mr. Larden, I thank you for your time and your contribution today. Please disconnect Mr. Larden's microphone. I'll move on to another person that supports the appeal, should they wish to provide closing statements, and that is you, Ms. Diuga. Do you have any closing comments? Please come to the microphone. Thank you.
Okay. While this seemingly innocent application for a very small scale bed and breakfast appears on the surface to be a low impact activity, please do not be deceived. There are questions of legality in regards to the landowner not being present and authorizing a manager to operate the business, even though the letter of authorization does not appear to permit this. And we, the residents, plead with the decision makers to understand that this bed and breakfast operation will be a constant additional strain to the neighbors and will erode their peace and enjoyment of their previously quiet and private residential neighborhood. We urge you to exercise compassion to the neighbors. We have already endured enough turmoil and impacts from this landowner and respectfully ask you to deny this permit from being issued. And I want to thank you for letting us express our concerns.
Thank you. Moving down the list, Mr. Lavallee. Any closing comments?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I'm going to just basically repeat what that lady just said. Over the years, not even meeting these people ever and having to endure the film crews, the extra people driving around, and all of these things that seems to be coming from this person. The going ahead and, like she said, starting building the riding arena without permits, having a bed and breakfast without permits and being shut down. This is all points to something that is, to me, not on the up and up for everybody. And I really appreciate the time that you've given me to voice my opinion on this, but I am definitely against this for all the reasons that have been brought to your attention today. And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miles. I don't see that individual. All right. I will, before I allow the applicant their closing comments, I would like to state that in our packages that have been provided prior to this meeting and are present at this meeting, we have letters from L. Neal, J&E Hartman, P. Miles, and G. Bueller, which are in opposition to this, aside from Ms. Neal, are in opposition to this application, and they will be reviewed as part of our decision process today. So with that, Ms. Neal and Mr. Osman, I would encourage you to make a closing comments as well to go ahead and start with whomever would like to go first. And please identify yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is Sam Osman. I'd like to know what the definition of absentee owner is. I do go out to my property. Sometimes I go there once a month. Sometimes I'm there every 2 weeks. Sometimes I'm there every week. I drive up the road. The road is virtually empty most of the time that I go there. I bumped into, for the first time, I've met Mr. Larden not that long ago, and he had his huskies on the road. Most of these neighbors walk their dogs without leash. They're off leash, contrary to the county bylaw. I noticed his huskies, and I asked if his name was Keith Larden. He said yes. I said, you're the one that keeps complaining about us. He said, yes, you're an absentee owner. I said, how do you know I'm an absentee owner? Why do you say that? He stated that he walks his dogs by my property twice a day, and he's always looking in to see who's coming and who's going. We have had, in the case of Mr. Patrick Miles, he was sitting in front of my house videoing the property. When I asked him, what are you doing filming my property? His comment was it was his turn to make a movie. As it relates to the arena, we did start moving. I started moving dirt in preparation for UFA to build a horse riding arena with an attached barn. We've covered a lot of this the last two times where there's a lot of misinformation. Most of these neighbors we've never met. We put out the olive branch for them to come over and have coffee, get to know us. Most of them didn't even take us up on that. In the conversation with Mr. Larden, I said, you talk to me as you think I'm an absentee owner, but you have community meetings where you invite the entire neighborhood to discuss my property, but you never talk to me about it. In building the arena, it was, again, UFA's job to get the permits, which they did. During the two appeals, we were delayed 2 years, just for clarity on why it's not finished. The county knows about this. The county has given us a date, which has not passed yet, to finish the arena. The two appeals, the latest, the 2 years, which ended up costing $60,000 to $80,000. This is all during COVID. Prices skyrocketed. Some of the materials we had to reorder because it sat under the snow for 2 years. As it relates to the film business, we've done 3 films during the 8 years that we've been there. You know what, those total days of film add up to 30 days. Now, we're not breaking any rules. The county does not need permits to make any type of film. And if there's any permits required, there's filming done all throughout Southern Alberta, all meeting the requirements of the county and the municipalities. It's a big part of the Alberta economy. Southern Alberta does 1.5 billion in films every year. It's a big part of the economy. The people that are working in this industry are overly sensitive to any neighbors' complaints, or very careful with how they treat neighbors. As an example, when the last one that was filmed, it was like 7 days. The first thing the neighbors did is call the county and complain that there were people speeding, which was not true at all. So they had people there posting limits, the film people did, 40 kilometers an hour. And what happened, the neighbors would just drive by them far past that speed. There's a lot of prejudice and a lot of hypocrisy. The definition of an absentee owner. Tells me I have to check in with the neighbors. We have, again, we've reached out to the neighbors. We, in December of last year, we sent an email out to the community via the Facebook page. We asked them to come over for some hot chocolate, some camaraderie. What did the likes of Mr. Larden do? They called the county and said that we were that my arena is an event center. That we were pouring concrete on the arena, and it's not really an arena. The arena was built for my daughters to come out. They've been horse riding since they were 8 years old. Now they don't want to come there because we've had people actually come onto our property. I know who it is, I just can't prove it, where they flashed lights into our kitchen at 1 a.m. There's a security video, which I still have, which was sent to me by Larry, the previous caretaker. He sends me the video where the cameras went on, where there was flashlights pointing into my house.
Mr. Osman, as I've done with everyone so far, I've provided a significant amount of latitude to speak about things other than evidence or facts or the reason for an appeal or an application. I'm going to remind you that that's what we're looking for today. So,
I respect that, and
Mr.
I'll
Osman,
be careful
if
with
you
my
could.
words.
Thank you.
Okay. My statement is that we have always complied with county rules at all times. Anything that we do, we make sure that we pick up the phone. We talk to the county. We let them know what we're doing. We are not doing anything outside of that. The neighbors, there's a group that constantly speculate. A lot of what they say is misinformation. We have a lot of evidence and a lot of information. Anybody cares to see it, I'd be more than happy to provide it. In closing, I do want to be part of the community. Unfortunately, that's not reciprocal. Again, we cooperate. We don't break any rules. We're within the legalities of getting our bed and breakfast, and that's my closing statement. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ms. Neal, did you want to have any closing comments as well?
Yes, thank you for your time. I do not want to address the assumptions or the misfacts. I just want to stick to the facts. I don't think we're here to discuss filming or arenas. I just want to address that we do have 5 bedrooms only. That's very important. I also want to address that I'm not an employee in any way, and that I did not come here and was not engaged to come here and open a bed and breakfast. I am extended family of Mr. Osman. We have been friends for over 30 years. His children are like my nieces and nephews. We spend holidays together. We travel. We're very close. I don't really feel the need to justify our relationship with Sam or why we're here. However, when I came here, I fell a little ill and I decided I'd like to do something. Up till this point, I was very, very active with my career. And right now I'm not able to do that. And I thought this would be a perfect little adventure for myself and my husband as retirement. I'm in no way trying to antagonize any neighbors. Actually, I've had neighbors to the house. I've got emails from the neighbors saying they support film and they'd like to do film themselves. I've put myself out there to the neighbors to come and visit and by all means answer any questions I have. So I'm not quite sure what the issue is and the antagonist, what is happening. But I can assure you that me operating the little bed and breakfast is in no way unsafe. I guess in my final statement, I would just like you to make your decision based on what the facts are. And we respectfully believe that the conditional approve to use this in a modest scale was appropriate, and we request that the board uphold the development permit of 2060-077. And thanks again for your time today.
Thank you. I'm going to take one brief moment to look at the list of participants today and online, and I believe we've heard from everyone in closing comments. Again, to the gallery, if anybody has any comments that they'd like to make, the answer is no. So the next step is for me to ask for final questions from the board members to anyone that participated today. They have to be clarifying, no additional new information. Any board members have any questions of anyone at this moment? Seeing none, I will remind the participants that we have an agenda package, and I'll hold it up for the camera so that those at home can see. That in the agenda package, we have evidence that we call testimony, which are letters of letters of support, letters of appeal, and reasons and rationale and evidence in there as well too. We do and will take that information into consideration. Our decision today, sir, I'm not going to recognize you. So we have taken into consideration, sir, may I have somebody remove Mr. Lardon from the room, please? Thank you. So again, I'm going to continue on with the next steps in this process. Again, before I close the hearing, I want to remind those at home, on video, and to those that are anticipating a decision, that we go through this evidence quite succinctly, clearly, and in depth. Believe me, we do. And a decision will be made within 15 days from today's hearing. and it will be supplied to the participants by the county in writing. And at that time, the decision is final and the decision has been made. I have nothing further to mention to you other than the fact that I want to reaffirm that the letters are from J&E Hartman, P. Miles, L. Neal, G. Bueller as well. I thank everyone for their contribution today, and with that, I will close the hearing. We are adjourned.